They're off. As they break away, pretty level break and battling for the lead. Prologue in the centre, moving through to head Pat Harkin. On the inside is Blue Skimmer. And these are being followed by Novus Adventus on the inside of Ring Presence. A couple of lengths then to Order of St. George, and they're being followed by Idle Talker, who's racing in company with Mandamus. They make the way on down the far side and past the 6 mark, and Prologue is the leader for Shane Foley to Pat Harkin. Fergal Lynch on the outside of Blue Skimmer. They're followed by Ring Presence, Novus Adventus, Order of St. George, Idle Talker, and Mandamus just the back marker. They're racing towards the end of the back straight, and Prologue is the leader as they begin to swing and make their way across to the halfway point with Pat Harkin second, Ring Presence and Blue Skinner, followed by Order of St. George, Novus Adventus next, followed by Mandamus and Idle Talker. As they make their way across towards the 3 and approach the straight, the leader is Prologue from alongside Pat Harkin, and they're being followed by Ring Presence, Order of St. George, racing right round the outside, and then Mandamus as they race round the home turn, and Order of St. George is quick and right up on the outside now to join Prologue. They're followed by Ring Presence and Blue Skinner just in behind with Mandamus. They race now towards the final furlong. Order of St. George has gone on from Prologue, and they're being followed by Blue Skimmer on the inside of Mandamus, racing on now towards the final furlong, and Order of St. George has gone well clear. Prologue and Blue Skimmer battling away over on the far side as they run up to the finish. Order of St. George by 8 to 10 lengths. Blue Skimmer on the inside getting the second from Prologue, and fourth home is Novus Adventus, well cleared of Mandamus. Palmerston House Estate, Irish St. Leger Trial Stakes, all in and off. Enishman pops away to lead from Seamoon in second, a break of a few lengths then to Order of St. George, who's moved just third ahead of Good Tradition, and the back mark of the 5 is Kingfisher. Racing down the far side, Enishman going along a few lengths in front for Billy Lee, to in second place Seamoon and Declan McDonough. Order of St. George showing up in third spot for Shamie Heffernan. Good Tradition, Pat Smullen, followed by Kingfisher, who's the back mark of the quintet. As they race on now down the far side, Enishman showing the way by just over 2 lengths. Seamoon is in second place, and they're followed by Order of St. George, Good Tradition, and the back mark of the quintet's Kingfisher. So there's little change from the outset as they go along in single file down the far side, less than 10 furlongs or so ahead of them. Enishman striding along in front for Billy Lee. Seamoon, Declan McDonough, Order of St. George, Shamie Heffernan, Good Tradition, Pat Smullen and Kingfisher. Joseph O'Brien dropped in, settled the back mark of the 5. Still no change from the outset. In single file still, Enishman by 2 to Seamoon, much the same then to Order of St. George, another 2 to Good Tradition, and the same to Kingfisher, the back marker of the 5. Very shortly now they'll be coming up towards the mile mark and beginning to make the climb to take them up towards the top of the track. Enishman in the leads, Seamoon, Order of St. George, Good Tradition and Kingfisher. So they're just about to make the climb now, as Enishman striding along a couple of lengths in front of, in second place, Seamoon, followed in third by Order of St. George. Good Tradition is fourth, and the back mark of the quintet is Kingfisher. So they're racing up now towards the top of the track. Very shortly now they'll be on the descent for the home turn. Enishman leading, Seamoon, Order of St. George, followed by Good Tradition and Kingfisher. Beginning now to make the descent and racing downhill towards the approach for home. And Enishman from Seamoon, Order of St. George, Good Tradition, Kingfisher. The 5 runners now on the descent for the approach to the turn into the straight, the final half mile in the Palmerston House Estate Irish and Leger Trial. And in front, Enishman from Seamoon, Order of St. George, Good Tradition and Kingfisher. Just about to breast the bend now to swing in. And Enishman taken on by Seamoon, who's raced up on the outside now to go to the front. Enishman second, Order of St. George improving on the outside. A couple of lengths to Good Tradition and Kingfisher, and it's Seamoon in front. of Order of St. George making ground now on the inside. Racing towards the final furlong, and Order of St. George has gone through on the inside now and goes a couple of lengths in front of Sea Moon, who's clear of Inishman, Good Tradition and Kingfisher. And on the run up towards the finish, it's Order of St. George lengthening cleared of Sea Moon, and running up towards the finish, it is Order of St. George who wins by a good 7 lengths or so for Shamie Heffer and Aidan O'Brien. Sea Moon judged for third, Kingfisher on the near side of Inishman and Good Tradition.
And they're away. And in the early stages, Brown Panther is up there towards the inside. Also prominent in the early stages, Gospel Choir and Good Tradition. The Weld outsider has gone on now to lead from Brown Panther. Vonta Force on the outside of Forgotten Rules, and they're followed by Agent Murphy. Then along the inside is Second Step. Gospel Choir is with them, and they're followed by Sea Moon, the favourite Order of St. George, back in the field in the early stages as they race to the end of the first couple of furlongs, and Good Tradition leads by a couple of lengths to last year's winner Brown Panther in second. Then in third spot is Second Step, followed by Forgotten Rules on the outside of Gospel Choir, Sea Moon, Vonta Force, then Agent Murphy, and they're followed by Wicklow Brave, Order of St. George and Kingfisher back in the field as they stretch along the far side of the course and head up towards the 1.25 mile start. And the leader is Good Tradition by about 4 lengths or so to Brown Panther, Richard Kingscote in second. Then Second Step, Gospel Choir and Forgotten Rules, Vonta Force along the outside in the blue and yellow. Inside him is Agent Murphy, there followed by Sea Moon towards the inside. Wicklow Brave is back in the field with Order of St. George as they race along now and start the climb towards the top of the course. Good Tradition and Lee Roach by 5 to 6 lengths to Brown Panther. Similar distance to Second Step. Forgotten Rules is fourth. Gospel Choir is in fifth, and then comes Agent Murphy. They're followed by Sea Moon on the inside. Behind him is Kingfisher, and then Order of St. George. Wicklow Brave on their outside, and Vonta Force at the back as they run along the top of the course now. And Good Tradition with a lead of 6 or 7 lengths over Brown Panther in second. In third place is Second Step, and they're followed by Gospel Choir as they begin now to start the descent towards the straight. And Good Tradition's lead has been cut with Forgotten Rules, Stable Companion moving up in second, Second Step in third. Gospel Choir is in behind them as they run down the hill now towards the approach to the straight. And it's Forgotten Rules now on the inside who's gone to the lead. Brown Panther has dropped right out of the race as they come down the hill. Forgotten Rules from Second Step, and they're followed in third place by Gospel Choir on the outside. Wicklow Brave makes ground. Order of St. George is coming there too. Agent Murphy is in behind them as they swing in now with 2.5 furlongs to race, and Order of St. George comes through to hit the front. The 3-year-old from Second Step. Forgotten Rules on the inside. Wicklow Brave down the outside with Gospel Choir, and behind these is Agent Murphy as they race inside the 2 furlong marker. Is Order of St. George from Second Step. Forgotten Rules in third as they race towards the final furlong in the early St. Ledger, and Order of St. George. Joseph O'Brien 4 lengths clear. In second is Second Step. Then comes Wicklow Brave, Agent Murphy, Forgotten Rules, Gospel Choir as they race into the closing stages. And out on his own, it's Order of St. George who's going to win and justify the gamble. Wins it by a wide margin. Agent Murphy up.
That's it, lined up. They're off. They race away 2.5 miles the trip then, so to the winning post and 1 circuit of Ascot after that. The Twizzler is one of the first of the runners to get away and leads up in the early strides with Wazir. Fun Mac is also prominent. Mille in the beige jacket towards the right is not far behind the leaders. Mizu against the running rail. Scotland is dropped out towards the rear of the field. So is Clever Cookie and the grey Griraz. They're at the rear of the field, and also Tiberian is with them. So as they settle down against the running rail, it's Fun Mac, but Mille in the beige jacket. Terry Twilliers comes through to lead now to the Twizzler in second place. Frankie Dettori has Flying Officer in the white jacket in a prominent place, and then Burmese, red and green colours for William Buick, and then Mizu, dark green jacket, a red cap against the running rail for Andrea Zenny. Then Scotland, who was at the rear of the field, but Jamie Spencer has moved him through to be in mid-division. He's alongside the favourite, Order of St. George, George, blue and orange colours for Ryan Moore. And then comes Palisader, claret jacket for Sheen Murphy against the running rail. Max Dynamite in pink colours. Pat Smullen is behind him. They're followed through by Kiki Blue, blue jacket for Mikel Barcelona. Then the white and red of Sheikh Zayed Road with Martin Harley. Sugio, grey colours for Paul Hannigan. The race is just ahead of Griraz and Donnacre Brown on the grey. The last couple of runners are Clever Cookie against the running rail PJ McDonald, and Tiberian Adrien Fouassier is in company with him as they swing right-handed now, and they've almost completed their first mile, and Thierry Tuilliez is allowing Mille Mille, who rather stole the French equivalent of this race last October, to go through into about an 8 or 10 length lead as he'll have the downhill run ahead of him now with a mile and a half to go. The Twizzler is in second place, and he's about 6 or 7 lengths ahead of Fun Mac showing in third. Flying Officer is next, and then Wazir and Misu together from Burmese, Order of St George and Palisader as they're approaching halfway. Scotland and Max Dynamite, the next couple of runners. Order of St George is just preceding those. Then Sheikh Zayed Road, who races in company with Sugio. Still Clever Cookie and Tiberian are towards the rear of the field as Mille Mille heads down past the halfway stage with almost a 10-length lead. The Twizzler is in second position. The others are not intent on following him at the moment. Fun Mac with a white blaze shows against the rails in third. A white jacket of Flying Officer with him. Griraz, the grey, has moved up now to fifth place. And then Wazir, and behind this is Mizu. Then Order of St George, Burmese and Palisader in line. Wazir was hampered there. Kiki Blue and Max Dynamite and Scotland behind those from Tiberian, and then Sheikh Zayed Road. Clever Cookie is way behind at the rear of the field at this stage with Sugio, as there be 30 lengths first to last, and it's Mille Mille who's on the run to home now, heading down inside the last 3/4 of a mile. The Twizzler in second place is now closer though. Flying Officer behind them in third. Fun Mac is next, and they're followed by Mizu, and then Burmese ridden along. Order of St George is way back in this field in the blue and orange. He's only got 3 or 4 behind him at this stage. They begin to bunch though. They have a half mile to go. Mille Mille, the French challenger, still leads towards the home turn, but now only by 1 length. The Twizzler, Fun Mac, Flying Officer and Burmese behind these. Then Kiki Blue, and then Max Dynamite and Palisader, and Tiberian round the outside from Order of St George. But they're making the home turn, and it's still out in front, Mille Mille and Thierry Tuilliez, and now he sends the French Gold Cup winner for the line. Flying Officer is in second position. Burmese is next, and then Order of St George and Kiki Blue and Mizu behind this, heading down now towards the final furlong and a half. Still Mille Mille. Flying Officer, the white jacket here is Order of St George. Ryan's got him rolling now. Mizu behind those. They come towards the last furlong, and Order of St George. He looked in a bad position a half mile out. He's in a great one now. Order of St George, ridden out by Ryan Moore to the winning post, is going to win the Gold Cup. Mizu chased him home in second place. Sheikh Zayed Road in third, and Mille Mille, the pace setter, was home in fourth.
First, number 14, Order of St George. Second.
Set. And they're off. As they bounce away, Twilight Payment is first to show. Ayatara on the inside, and they're being followed by Benki. Order of St George next, and just dropped in. The back marker of 5 is Charming Kitten as they race along in the early stages now. Ayatara and O'Brien just going on by a length to, in second place, Twilight Payment and Kevin Manning. Benki is 2 lengths back in third, and then about 2.5 or so to Order of St George. Another 2 in front of the back marker of the quintet, Charming Kitten. Making their way right across in the stands, Ayatara going on now, a couple of lengths in front as they begin now to make the run past the 11 furlong point. Ayatara by 3, Twilight Payment followed by Benki, Order of St George in fourth, Charming Kitten remaining the back marker. As they continue on their way now to the 10 furlong point, in front is Ayatara. 3 lengths up on in second place is Twilight Payment, being followed by Benki. Just after Benki comes Order of St George, and Charming Kitten is the back marker of the 5. Beginning now to make their way Right over on the far side, 9 furlongs ahead of them, no change in the order. Single file, Aryatara, Twilight Payment, Benki, Order of St. George and Charming Kitten. Just about to reach the mile pole now in the Palmerstown House Estate Irish and Ledger Trial Stakes. And it's Aryatara and Anna O'Brien in the lead, followed by Twilight Payment, Kevin Manning, Benki and Chris Hayes in third. Order of St. George and Donnacha O'Brien being followed by Charming Kitten and Pat Smullen. So they're beginning now just to meet the rising ground that will take them up to the top of the track with a little over 6 furlongs to go. And still Aryatara going along in front of, in second place, Twilight Payment. Then in third place is Benki. Order of St. George is next, and Charming Kitten remains the back marker. Now just about to make the descent. That'll bring them downhill towards the approach to the straight, as Aryatara goes along in front. In second place is Twilight Payment, Benki followed by Order of St. George and Charming Kitten. Making their way now for the approach to the turn into the straight. Aryatara continuing a length and a half or so in front of Twilight Payment. Benki is third and Order of St. George fourth. Charming Kitten 5. So they're just about to breast the bend to turn for home with 3 furlongs to go. Aryatara, Twilight Payment, followed by Benki, Order of St. George. And just coming round them on the outside, up the middle of the track ahead of Charming Kitten. And Aryatara, Twilight Payment, Order of St. George making good ground now up towards the leaders on the outside. Benki in fourth, Aryatara in front, but Order of St. George, the long odds-on favourite, coming up on the outside of Twilight Payment. And it's Order of St. George and Twilight Payment who go past Aryatara and running well inside the last 200 yards now. Order of St. George and Donnacha O'Brien going on a length and a half to 2 in front of Twilight Payment, and up towards the finish. Order of St. George wins from Twilight Payment, Aryatara, Benki and Charming Kitten.
George completes loading, 6 runners set. They're off to a very straight line in the Coma Group International Irish St. Ledger Trial Stakes. This Group 3 over a mile and 6. And in the early stages, the leader is Renetti, with alongside Twilight Payment being followed at the end of the first furlong by Order of St. George. And then there's a couple of lengths to Wicklow Brave as they continue on towards the Derby start, with Renetti leading Twilight Payment and Order of St. George, Wicklow Brave rekindling, and Aussie Rains is dropped in at the back marker of the 6-runner field. Passing the 11 furlong point, and it's Renetti, Pat Smullen on the inside of Twilight Payment and Kevin Manning on board last year's second. Tracked by twice winner, Order of St. George and Ryan Moore with Wicklow Brave and Chris Hayes. Rekindling is next under Donnacha O'Brien with the back marker Aussie Rains and Billy Lee. Continuing their way right over on the far side of the track. And just coming up now towards the 9 furlong point, and Twilight Payment has moved on to lead a couple of lengths. Renetti and Order of St. George with Wicklow Brave in fourth. A break of 3 lengths to Rekindling with Aussie remaining the back marker. A mile left to go. They're just a furlong outside the halfway stage in the Comer Group International Irish St. Ledger Trial Stakes. In the lead is Twilight Payment, opening up a 3-length advantage over Renetti, with in third place Order of St. George, who's tracked by the 2016 Irish St. Ledger winner Wicklow Brave, with Rekindling and Aussie Rains the final pair. Beginning now to make the climb up towards the top of the course. And it is Twilight Payment and Kevin Manning in the lead, followed by Renetti and Pat Smullen. Order of St. George continues in third, Ryan Moore with Wicklow Brave and Chris Hayes. Rekindling is next under Donnacha O'Brien with Aussie Rains, the back marker under Billy Lee. So they make the run to come downhill now with less than 5 furlongs to go. It's Twilight Payment maintaining an advantage of just a couple of lengths over Renetti, with Order of St. George followed by Wicklow Brave, Rekindling and Aussie Rains. About to make the entrance to the straight with half a mile to go. Twilight Payment with Renetti pushed along in second. Order of St. George is third, and on Order of St. George's outside is Wicklow Brave, then Rekindling, and a break now to the back marker Aussie Rains, who's pushed along. They race into the straight with 3 to go. Twilight Payment on the rail with Order Order of St. George in the centre. On the outside is Wicklow Brave, being followed by Rekindling, who's staying on behind them. Renetti is weakened, and they're out in front of Aussie Reigns. They race to the final furlong and a half, and it's twice winner Order of St. George and Ryan Moore who come through the lead. They take it up from Rekindling, Twilight Payment, Wicklow Brave in the centre of the track, and then comes Renetti, but well inside the last furlong, it's Order of St. George striding on, clear from Rekindling, Twilight Payment, and up to the finish. Order of St. George is 3 Irish and Ledger trials in a row for Order of St. George. Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien with Rekindling, followed in by Twilight Payment, Wicklow Brave, Renetti, and Detached Aussie Reigns.
Him is the last to be loaded for the Cromwell Group International Irish St. Ledger. Maiden 6, and away they go. Dartmouth began well, and on the inside Lord Yates, as predicted, is the one that goes on. Lord Yates the leader, Mount Moriah is in second, Torsador is towards the outside, then Twilight Payment, Order of St. George towards the outside as they begin to settle down and complete the first quarter mile. Lord Yates is the leader, Twilight Payment is up there on the outside, Mount Moriah is on the inner, and just behind these we have Torsador on the inside as they continue down the far side of the course. Lord Yates is the leader, Mount Moriah on the inside, Twilight Payment in the blue colours towards the outer, Benke is behind him, Torsador is towards the inner as they complete the first half mile or so, and it's Lord Yates from Twilight Payment. Then on the inside, Mount Moriah, Benke is next. They're followed by Torsador. Then comes Order of St. George. Dartmouth is next. Wicklow Brave, last year's winner, is back in the field with Western Hymn, and the back marker is the Tartan Spartan. Past the 9 furlong pole, Lord Yates makes it from Twilight Payment in second. Mount Moriah on the inside shows third. They're followed by Benke, and then Torsador, then Order of St. George. Dartmouth is behind these with Western Hymn and Wicklow Brave. Tartan Spartan is the back marker. About to start the run uphill. Lord Yates continues to lead. Twilight Payment close second. Just behind these is Mount Moriah. They're followed by Benke in the red and white. And behind these is Torsador on the inside. They're followed by Order of St. George. Dartmouth is on the outer as they race up towards the top of the hill. And it's Lord Yates from Twilight Payment. Mount Moriah is third, and fourth place behind these is Benke, then Torsador, and then Order of St. George as they start the descent towards the straight. Lord Yates from Twilight Payment in second. They're followed by Mount Moriah, and behind these is Benke. Order of St. George begins to improve towards the outside now as they race downhill towards the turn into the straight. Lord Yates, Order of St. George sweeps up on the outside and goes to the lead now. Twilight Payment bang there. Wicklow Brave, last year's winner. Mount Moriah and Torsador, the Tartan Spartan from the back. Benke has dropped out. Dartmouth is struggling. They're in the straight now, and it is Order of St. George who leads from Wicklow Brave in second. Then Torsador towards the outside. Mount Moriah is next. Lord Yates has dropped away as they race now inside the last 2 furlongs. Order of St. George the favourite on his own against the rail. Torsador and Wicklow Brave as they race down now towards the last 150 yards, and Order of St. George is well clear and going to win the Irish St. Ledger for the second time as they go to the line. Order of St. George very easily wins it under Ryan Moore. In second place is Torsador, third spot for Mount Moriah ahead of Wicklow Brave.
Road. Stand by for the Kipco British Champions Long Distance Cup. They're lined up, and away they go, and Cap'n very slow into stride in the first race on Kipco British Champions Day 2017. Stars over the sea in the light jacket on the far side. Down the centre is Big Orange, the Gold Cup winner, in the yellow jacket. Mount Moriah's on the near side. They're followed by Desert Skyline and Sheikh Zayed Road, last year's winner, in the red and white alongside Torsador. Up the inside, Stradivarius. Frankie has him handy on the rail, followed back then by Order of St. George, the the favourite. A close-up 8th or 9th at this stage, just to the outside of Dartmouth in the royal colours. Giretto is next from Nearly Caught, and they're followed by Clever Cookie and the back marker, the slow starter, and the rank outsider Captain, as they run round this right-hand turn and approach the 1.5 mile point from the finish. The start for the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes, the midsummer highlight here at Ascot. And running downhill now, the long run down the hill towards Swinley Bottom, and Big Orange leads the way a length out in front from Stars Over the Sea and Mount Moriah. Sheikh Zayed Road's on the outside of Desert Skyline, followed in the black with the yellow cap by Stradivarius, Torsador in orange. Order of St George is behind these from Dartmouth, and then Giretto, and towards the rear Old Clever Cookie, Nearly Caught, and finally Cap'n. Inside the final 10 furlongs now, they continue to run downhill on the descent towards the mile marker, and then they'll be into the right-hand bend at Swinley Bottom, and Big Orange driving up the inside of Mount Moriah now, followed by Torsador on the outside, and then on the inside is Desert Skyline from Sheikh Zayed Road and Order of St George. Stars Over the Sea, who led early, is back on the rail now in about 7th place as they round Swinley Bottom and head on towards the 7 furlong marker. And this is where the race begins to get tough, because not only is it uphill, they'll have the headwind to contend with up the home straight. Big Orange by a neck to Mount Moriah, passing the 7 and on towards the 6, followed by Torsador. On the inside, Desert Skyline from Sheikh Zayed Road. Order of St George making nice progress now into 6th place on the outside, within 4 lengths of the lead as they enter the final 3/4 of a mile. Stradivarius is further back from Giretto, Stars Over the Sea, Dartmouth, then Clever Cookie, a couple of lengths then to Nearly Caught. Passing the 5 furlong marker in the Kipco British Champions Long Distance Cup, Mount Moriah from Torsador in second. Sheikh Zayed Road is third. Big Orange coming under pressure on the inside. Order of St George looming large. In behind those, the improving Giretto, followed by Clever Cookie. Stradivarius has a chance just behind Order of St George as they run now into the final bend. Mount Moriah leading to Torsador. Order of St George now shaken up, goes third from Sheikh Zayed Road. Then Stradivarius and Giretto and Clever Cookie and Nearly Caught, and Big Orange is beaten, and so is Dartmouth. Homeward bound Mount Moriah from Torsador, and they've kicked away from Order of St George. They're followed by Stradivarius and Giretto as they race now towards the final furlong and a half, and Torsador on the outside in the orange jacket. Colin O'Donoghue takes it up from Mount Moriah. Stradivarius and Order of St George are third and fourth, struggling to get on terms, and it's Torsador, that Jesse Harrington trained Torsador, that leads. Mount Moriah tries to rally. Order of St George stays on late with Stradivarius up to the line. Torsador is now being collared by Order of St George, and Order of St George pulls it out of the fire from Torsador in second, Stradivarius in third, Mount Moriah, Giretto, Clever Cookie and Sheikh Zayed Road.
First, number 7, Order of St George. Second, number 10.
3 runners loaded. They're off. In race 7, the Vintage Crop Stakes, Group 3 over 1 mile and 6, and straight to the front, Lord Yates leads Order of St George and Clongowes as the 3 runners race on up the hill in front of the stands with the complete circuit of the track in front of them. The leader is the English challenger Lord Yates, tracked 2 lengths back by the odds-on favourite Order of St George, who's 2.5 lengths in front of Clongowes, last of the trio. Coming up now to pass the winning post. A circuit in front of them, and they've got about 1.5 miles to go. The leader is Lord Yates and Paul Mulrennan, with Order of St George. In second place, Ryan Moore, and over 3 lengths back to Clongowes and Kevin Manning. In single file, racing along the side of the track, soon to turn left-handed to go down into the back straight with 1.2 miles to go. And it's Lord Yates in the lead from Order of St George and Clongowes as they make their way down the back straight now. Just a little over 9 furlongs to go. Lord Yates in the lead by 2.5 lengths to Order of St George. The top stair out 3 lengths in front of Clongowes. Still no changes from first to last as Lord Yates and Paul Mulrennan show in the lead from Order of St George, Ryan Moore, Clongowes and Kevin Manning. Heading on now towards the mile pole. in the Vintage Crop Stakes, and it's Lord Yates the leader, tracked all the while by Order of St George, with Clongowes a bit closer in rear as they head on now towards the 7. The halfway stage they've just passed now, and it's Lord Yates in the lead from Order of St George and Clongowes. The order maintained. It's been this way from the outset. Lord Yates leading Order of St George and Clongowes. They race to the end of the back straight with less than 3/4 of a mile to go. And across the top end they come for the straight, with Lord Yates leading Order of St George, who's now within 3/4 of a length and 2.5 lengths back to Clongowes in the blue jacket with 5 furlongs to go. Lord Yates, Paul Mulrennan leading Order of St George and Ryan Moore and Clongowes Kevin Manning. Half a mile left to go in the Vintage Crop Stakes as they turn their heads for home. And it's Lord Yates still in the lead from Order of St George, poised in second. And then Clongowes as they head on now with 3.5 furlongs to go. And Lord Yates is pushed along on the rail. Order of St George being roused up on the outside, and then comes Clongowes as they race downhill. They've 2.5 to go, and Lord Yates is still in the lead from Order of St George on the outside. A few lengths back then to Clongowes. They're inside the 2. Lord Yates joined by Order of St George on the near side, and Order of St George is sent by Lord Yates as they race to the final furlong, and it is Order of St George now getting the better of Lord Yates. They're out in front of Clongowes and up the hill with 100 yards left to go. Order of St George will make a successful return in the Vintage Crop, a race he was defeated in last year. Doubles for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. Order of St George the winner from Lord Yates and Clongowes.